Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this stylish bustier gown. If this is what you're interested in learning, keep watching and let's get into the video. I've gone ahead to trace out my basic bodice block. I'll be leaving the link in the description box on how to draft the basic bodice block. So now I'm just marking my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 is 3.5 inches and I'll connect that to the bust point. So I'm going to be cutting off from the waistline because we're going to be working on the upper bodice first. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that off. Alright, so from the underbust, I'm going to be marking half of an inch this way, and the other side I'm going to mark 1 inch. Same for the waistline, and I'm going to come down from the bust point half of an inch. So I'm just going to draw a straight line on that bust point to indicate that this is my bust point. Now I'm going to be connecting from the waistline to the underbust with a straight line, just like so. I'm going to also do that, and with a curve I'll connect to the bust point like so, and also the same thing for here with a curve, connect to the bust point. Now I'm going to be extending this waistline to the original waistline. Okay, so now I will be marking my waist measurement divided by 4. So my waist divided by 4, I'll mark that and I'll replace the dot that we took there. Also for the underbust divided by 4 and replace the dot. Now I'll be connecting the markings to the bust line just like so. So moving on to the shoulder dart. My shoulder dart is 8 cm. Okay, so we're going to be doing 100% shoulder tightening. Right, so I just measure my shoulder dart, which is 8 cm, and we're going to be doing 100% shoulder tightening. So this is the formula: 8 divide your shoulder dart divided by 100 times 100. Okay, so my shoulder dart is 8 divided by 100 is 0.08 times 100 is still 8. So from this point I'll be marking 6 cm. Then from this point here I'm going to be marking 2 cm. Alright, so 6 plus 2, that's 8. I'm just going to be connecting with a straight line to the bust point just like so. For my neck depth I'll be using my chest measurement. Alright, so from my neckline to my chest is about 5.5 inches. So I'm just going to be using the chest line measurement there. So I'm just going to be connecting a straight line from the underarm to the chest line just like so. Alright, so now I'm just going to slash open from the nipple to nipple line to the bust point. Now I'm going to be closing up the dart. So I'll close up the dart and use a masking tape to tape it down in place. Okay, now I'm just going to be reshaping the style line for the bustier just like so, and I'll be cutting that out. If you find this video helpful at this point, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe, hit the notification bell so whenever I drop a new video you'll be notified. Share this video to someone you think might find it helpful. Let's get back into the video. So now you're going to be adding seam allowance around the top, the side and the waistline. For here, the top, the side, the waistline. Okay, now moving to the yoke part of this dress. Alright, so now from this old dart leg I'm going to be connecting a straight line to the new dart leg just like so. Alright, so for this side as well, the old dart leg to the new dart leg just like so, and now I'm going to be overlapping the new line that I just drew right now, and I'll use a masking tape to tape that down in place and reconnect my shoulder line. Okay, so my shoulder line went back to its initial measurement, which is 5 inches. Now I'll be working with the basic neckline of 3 inches. Okay, you can decide to do 3.5 if you want. For the shoulder width I'll be working with 2.5 inches, and down here I'll be marking half of an inch, and I'll connect it with a curve just like so. Now I'm going to be adding seam allowance, half inch seam allowance around the pattern. Okay, here I'm going to be adding seam allowance. I'll be adding extra paper here so I can add seam allowance down there. Alright, so I'm just going to tape it down in place and add half inch seam allowance. The neckline area as well, I'm going to be adding half of an inch seam allowance. And that will be all for the upper part of the front pattern. Now moving to the down part, from the waist I'm going to be marking my waist measurement divided by 4. Then on the hip, my hip measurement divided by 4. I'll connect that with a curved ruler. From the hip line I'm going to be coming down 1.5 inches, okay, 1.5 inches, and I'll connect that with a straight line. Alright, and connect here as well. Then from the center front I'm going to be coming down 5 inches, okay. For the side front I'll be coming down 5.5 inches. Then from this point I'll be marking 5 inches. Alright, so I'm just going to level what I just marked, 5 inches here, 5.5 here, and 5 inches at the side. Then from this point I'll be marking 1 inches, just like so. I'm going to be using my pencil to roughly curve the line just this way, and I'll use my marker to make the line more visible. For the side front I'll be adding 1 inch seam allowance, and around the bodies I'll be adding half of an inch, okay. To the back pattern, I've gone ahead to trace out my basic back block. So for the neck depth I'll just come down 1 inch and connect it back to the neck width, just like so. Then on the shoulder I'm going to be marking 2.5 inches, okay, and I'm going to be connecting the line inside the armhole, just like so. Alright, so I'm going to use my marker to highlight the line to make it more visible. On the waistline I'm going to be marking my waist measurement divided by 4. And on the hip line I'm also going to mark my hip measurement divided by 4, and I'll connect the markings together, just like so. Then on the hip area I'm going to be coming down 1.5 inches, and I will connect the markings with a straight line, just like so. Then from the center back inward I'll mark 5 inches, and I'll mark 1 inch as well. At the center back I'll mark 5 inches. From the waist at the side back I'll mark 5.5 inches, okay. So I'm just going to be connecting the lines just like so with a curve, and I'll use my marker to highlight it. I'll be slashing the waist area just like so, okay. They're going to be a joining at the waist area. So I'm going to be adding my seam allowance around the pattern. For the center back and side back I'm going to be adding 1 inch seam allowance. Then every other side on the pattern will be half of an inch seam allowance. Alright. So these are the fabric I'll be working with, okay. So the plain one is for the upper part, and the printed one is for the down part of the dress. So I'm just going to be folding my fabric into 2 and place my patterns on it. You can see I've added my seam allowance, and these are the center front which are being cut on fold, okay. So I'm just going to be cutting out my pattern right now. Done cutting the patterns right now, okay. So I'm just going to open up this part and show you what it looks like. Alright, so this is the bustier part, and this side front is what's got on twos. Alright, so I'm just indicating the wrong side of my fabric. Please indicate the wrong side of your fabric so you won't make mistake. Alright, so this is what it looks like. I will pin it down and go to my sewing machine and stitch it up. So here I'm done stitching it up, and this is what it looks like, and I've pressed it. Okay, I use my iron to iron it out and open up the seam. Now I'm going to be cutting out facing for the upper part. Okay, I'm going to be using facing to turn up the upper part of the bustier. So I'm just going to cut that off just like this. Alright, so after cutting it off, I'll be ironing a stay or paper stay. I'm going to be ironing paper stay on the facing. So you can also choose to cut your facing this way. Just cut out from the underbust, alright, and place your fabric on it. Now for the back, I'm just going to be using bias to turn the armhole and the neckline. For the yoke part, I'll be cutting another yoke for the facing. Alright, so I'm just going to place my pattern on fold this way, and I'll cut it out. I'll be ironing a stay on one of the fabric. So the place I'm going to be ironing a stay, that will be my main fabric. Okay, that will be the main fabric of the dress. So this is the a stay, I've ironed it, and that is going to be my main fabric, and this one is the facing. The one that I did not iron anything is the facing. Alright, so I'm just going to stitch up the neckline, and you'll see how it looks. So I'm done stitching up the neckline. Okay, so this is my main fabric. I'll go to my machine now and stop stitch on the facing. So I'm going to push my seam this way, stop stitch here on the facing. Alright, so after the stitching, this is what it looks like. So now I'm going to be flipping it over to the wrong side. I'll be stitching down this both sides like this. First stitch on one side and top stitch. After top stitching, you flip it back and stitch on the other side. So you won't be able to top stitch the other side. That's why I'm going to be using my hemming gum to put inside and hem it down in place. So this is what it looks like after hemming it. Now you're going to be notching the front part of your dress, the middle, notch it down, alright, and place your yoke this way. Then you use the facing and place on it and stitch on the seam allowance of 1/2 inch. Alright, so this is what it looks like when I was done stitching. Okay, and I top stitch on the facing. Now I'm going to be placing the down parts, okay, together. I'm going to be stitching down the waist just like so. Alright, now I'm going to be repeating the same thing for the back of the dress. Okay, so the upper part and the down part, I'm going to be stitching them together. And make sure you indicate where is your center back and your hip so you won't make mistake while stitching it down. So this is what the front looks like, and this is what the back is looking like. Okay, so at this point I have used my bias tape to tape down the armhole of the back. Alright, so I'm going to be repeating the same thing for the other back of the dress, the armhole. Alright, so I'm just going to go to my machine and I'll place it this way and stitch it down. So after stitching it down, I will be joining the side of the dress together. Front facing front, I'm going to be stitching down by the same allowance I added at the side, which is 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to place this one too like this and stitch it down. So after stitching it down, this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to iron it as well. Okay, and I open up the seam while ironing it. So now moving to the gathers part, working with the length of 38 inches and the width is 3.5 yards of fabric. Okay, you can use 4, that will be fine. I'll take it to my machine now and run a loose stitch for the gathers. Here I'm done gathering it. I'm just going to be pushing it out this way when I'm stitching it down to the upper bodice. Okay, so I'm just going to be placing it this way and I'll be stitching it down all the way to the end of the fabric. Alright, so I'm just going to take it to my machine and stitch it down. After I was done stitching it down, this is what it looks like. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to be fixing my zip. I'll be fixing my zip at the back of the dress just this way. Okay, I'm going to be fixing my zip and I'll show you what it looks like. So here I'm done fixing my zip and this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to be using my bias to turn the neckline of the back dress, right? So I'm just going to open up the zip and I'll use my bias. I'll place my bias this way and turn the neckline of the back. Alright, so when I was done doing that, this is what it looks like. So the next thing that is left now is to join the shoulders together. I'm just going to flip it over to the back side and place the shoulder this way, and I'm going to take it to my machine and stitch it up. So that is the end of this tutorial. Please, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe, share this video and comment. Thanks for watching. See you in my next one. Bye for now.